All right, so today we're diving deep into unlocking your potential.
Sounds exciting.
It is. And we're going to be using Believe It to Achieve It as our guide.
Yeah, classic.
It really is. Packed with advice on self-improvement, hitting those big goals.
Like a roadmap to being your best self.
Exactly. We're going to try to tackle those doubts we all have.
And that pesky past that likes to hang around.
Oh, tell me about it. But first, this idea of an achiever mindset from the book.
Right. The book dives right into that.
Yeah, it argues happiness is our natural state.
Like we're wired for joy.
Deep down we are, and we can achieve great things,
If we tap into that, yeah.
The book uses a cool analogy.
Oh, yeah.
David trapped in marble.
I like that.
Michelangelo's masterpiece, right?
Right.
Imagine yourself as that masterpiece.
Well, okay.
But covered in layers of self-doubt.
Those limiting beliefs, yeah.
We gotta chip away at those. Like marble.
Reveal the incredible person underneath.
It makes you think, what could we all do if we truly believed?
Powerful stuff.
So then, the book jumps into the power of belief.
Absolutely. Core concept, right?
So we're talking mind over matter here.
It's more than that, actually. It's about the law of cause and effect.
Okay, break that down for me.
So, thoughts are causes. Experiences are effects.
Interesting.
Like, when you dread a presentation.
Oh, and you mess it up?
Yeah. That nervous energy, it actually makes you stumble.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that.
The book says it's not coincidence, it's this law playing out.
So our thoughts really impact our reality.
Big time. And then there's positive expectancy.
Okay, what's that?
Expecting good things to happen.
Makes sense.
And they likely will. Remember that feeling?
Which one?
When you're thinking about buying a specific car.
Oh, and then you see it everywhere.
The book uses that as an example.
Oh, I get it. So our brain filters the world.
Based on what we think is possible.
That's wild. All right, so how do we cultivate this positive expectancy?
The book dives into something called our self-concept.
Okay, so like our inner blueprint.
Yes. And it breaks it down into 3 parts.
3 parts, okay.
Self-ideal, self-image, and self-esteem.
So self-ideal is who we want to be.
Exactly.
Self-image, how we see ourselves now.
Right.
And self-esteem, how much we value ourselves.
All connected.
They can create conflict too, right?
Absolutely. The book says successful people, they have it aligned.
Makes sense.
Clear, self-ideal, positive self-image.
Healthy self-esteem.
They all work together, guiding them towards their goals.
Like an internal GPS?
I like that. But of course, there are roadblocks.
Always are, right? Fears, insecurities, the usual.
Yeah, the book talks about the 2 main culprits.
Oh, lay 'em on me.
Fear of failure, which often looks like fear of loss.
Okay, yeah.
And fear of rejection. Classic.
Everyone's got those.
It's human. The book ties it back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right, those basic needs, safety, belonging.
We're terrified of losing them.
Makes sense. It really makes you wonder.
About what?
What we could all achieve without that fear.
Big question. What would you change if you had no fear of, say, poverty?
Or rejection. Oh, so many things. But it's not just fear, is it?
No, there's the past, too.
Baggage city.
The book is big on letting go of that.
Not to condone what happened, but to move on.
Exactly. Freedom, peace of mind.
I've heard forgiveness is a selfish act.
Kind of, yeah. The book makes a similar point.
It's about us, not them.
Releasing those negative emotions that hold us back.
Oh, I get it, like lifting a weight.
Yes. And it talks about WHO. We need to forgive, starting with our parents. A lot of us carry resentment, from childhood.
It's even without realizing.
Right. It's not blaming them, but acknowledging the impact.
So they did the best they could with what they had.
Exactly. And it goes beyond parents, too.
To who?
Past relationships, anyone who's hurt us.
And ourselves.
The toughest one, often. The book even has this technique.
For what?
Releasing those emotions. Writing a forgiveness letter.
You pour it all out on the page?
All of it. Anger, hurt, everything. Don't even have to send it.
It's about the process.
Exactly. Giving yourself permission to let go.
That's powerful. Okay, so we've talked about fear, the past, but what of the future?
The great unknown.
Change is constant, right? That chapter on embracing change feels relevant.
It really does. The book acknowledges change is inevitable.
Like it or not.
The question is, how do we respond to it?
Resist or embrace?
That's the million-dollar question.
Most of us struggle with change, I think.
It's human nature, wanting things to stay the same.
The book talks about the 6 stages of grief, interestingly enough.
Not something we typically associate with change.
Right. But when you think about it, change often means loss.
Loss of the familiar, the comfortable.
And the book highlights a sixth stage, beyond the traditional five.
Resurgence.
That moment we move forward, embrace the new,
And take action.
rising from the ashes stronger.
Makes you think, how long does it take you to move through tough times?
Good question. It varies, I guess. But knowing those stages helps.
Gives you a framework.
Okay, so we've faced fears, forgiven the past, embracing change, but now what?
Now we take action. The book is all about that.
It gets practical.
Very practical.
Yeah.
It starts with defining 5 core elements.
Hit me with them.
Values, vision, mission, purpose, and goals.
Blueprint for a fulfilling life, right?
You got it. And it starts with those values, the core beliefs.
What we stand by no matter what.
Exactly. Then, envisioning the ideal future.
Dream big, right?
No limits.
Yeah.
Imagine 5 years from now, perfect life, what's it look like?
Love that exercise. No limitations, just possibilities.
And after the vision comes the mission.
What's that about?
Your unique contribution to the world. What do you want to achieve?
Legacy stuff.
Exactly. The book even suggests writing your own obituary.
Whoa. Morbid but effective.
Makes you think about what truly matters.
So values, vision, mission. What about purpose?
Purpose is the deeper meaning. Why do you do what you do?
What drives us gives us fulfillment.
Might change over time, but it's that underlying motivation.
And then finally, the goals.
The steps to make the vision real. The book has a 6-step process for this.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, first, there's desire, the burning, yearning for something more.
Has to be genuine, not just what you should want.
Right. And then, belief. You got to believe it's possible.
Even if it's hard.
Especially if it's hard. And then, those obstacles.
You gotta see them coming.
Identify them beforehand. What might get in the way?
So you can strategize.
Exactly. Then, knowledge. What skills or info do you need?
So you might not have all the answers now, but you can find them.
You got it.
Yeah.
And then, get some help. Mentors, coaches.
Your support team.
Exactly. And lastly, the plan. Breaking it down into smaller steps.
Writing those goals down.
Making it real. The book really stresses that.
Turning dreams into reality.
It's the whole point, right?
This is incredibly practical. But it's not just about checking things off a list, right?
It's about the journey, the ups and downs.
Yeah.
And that's where becoming a master of change comes in.
The book talks about that, yeah. Change is constant and how we respond to it.
Determines whether we thrive or just survive.
It even mentions the challenge and response theory.
Oh yeah, that life is a series of challenges.
And how we respond to those challenges.
Determines our success. This is where the achiever mindset is so important.
People who embrace change.
They see it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like bring it on instead of, oh no.
And they know that even setbacks can be valuable.
Totally. But maintaining that positivity isn't always easy.
So are there strategies for becoming more adaptable, more resilient?
The book has some good ones. One is thinking for a change.
Okay, I like the sound of that. What's that about?
Becoming aware of our thought patterns. Challenging negative beliefs.
So catching those thoughts like, I can't do this.
Yes. And asking, is that really true?
Or is it just fear talking?
Exactly. It's about choosing more empowering thoughts.
And the book also talks about continuous learning, right?
Absolutely. The world's changing so fast.
What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow.
Exactly. We have to keep upgrading our skills and knowledge.
And remember that Harvard study we talked about?
The one from 1952.
Oh.
With the economist predicting all the change.
Yeah. Talk about ahead of their time. More change, more competition, more opportunities.
And they were right. It shows how important a growth mindset is.
Being willing to adapt, to embrace the new.
Exactly. So continuous learning, but there's also restructuring our lives.
Okay, break that down for me.
It's about making sure what we do aligns with our goals and values.
The 80-20 rule, right?
Yes. Focus on what really matters, cut out the rest.
Decluttering our lives.
Exactly. Habits, routines, maybe even relationships that don't serve us.
That can be tough. But it's about making our lives more authentic.
Aligned with who we are.
And the book even suggests stepping outside our comfort zones.
Because that's where the magic happens.
That's where we grow.
Challenge ourselves, expand our resilience. But there's one more thing.
What's that?
Relationships.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget those. We're social creatures.
Each time. And they affect everything. Our happiness, our success.
And the book dives into how to build strong connections.
It does. And it starts with understanding how men and women communicate.
Because we're basically speaking different languages sometimes.
The book talks about brain activity during conversations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, women use more areas of their brains when communicating.
Wow, so their inner lives are more complex.
It's not that men are less capable, just different wiring.
So we need to respect those differences.
Absolutely. And the key is adapting communication styles.
Meeting each other halfway.
Yes. Women maybe being more direct, men practicing active listening.
Creating a space where everyone feels heard.
That's the goal. And it's not just romantic relationships either.
Friendships, professional networks.
All important. We need a diverse team of supporters in life.
To offer different perspectives, challenge us, be there for us.
You got it. And before we move on, one more thing about relationships.
What's that?
Giving back to others.
I love that. Helping others always makes me feel good.
And there's a reason for that. It boosts our happiness.
A win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gives our lives meaning and purpose.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Fears, the past, change, goals, relationships.
And it all comes back to believing in ourselves.
Believe it to achieve it.
That's the core message. We have the power to create the life we want.
But we have to believe we can do it.
That's step one.
Yeah?
And that's what we're going to explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
It's a powerful idea, right? That by helping others, we actually help ourselves.
It really is. You know, as we're talking about these practical steps, I keep thinking back to that love deficiency concept.
Yeah, that one stuck with me too.
It's pretty deep.
It is. The book goes into how early experiences shape us.
Subconsciously, right?
Totally. Like we're on autopilot, repeating old patterns.
Without even realizing it.
The book talks about criticism, especially from parents.
Oh, yeah. Those early messages can really stick with you.
You're not good enough.
Yeah.
You'll never amount to anything.
Ouch. That's harsh.
It gets internalized, shapes how we see the world.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. If you believe you'll fail, you're more likely to.
Makes you wonder how much we sabotage ourselves.
More than we realize, probably. And it's not just direct criticism either.
Right, there's that negative religion idea too.
Where guilt and shame are used to control people.
It's messed up.
Yeah, it can be disguised as moral guidance, though.
Sneaky. So even with supportive parents, we can still get these messages.
From society, culture, religion, everywhere.
It's insidious, you're right.
Hard to recognize. But the book offers an antidote.
Oh, what's that?
Eliminating victim language.
Right, you mentioned that, but what does it actually mean?
It's about the words we use.
Like how we talk to ourselves.
And to others. Words that reinforce helplessness.
So we have more power than we think.
Exactly. Shifting from I can't to I'm choosing not to.
Or I'm still learning how.
Yes. Owning our choices, even when things go wrong.
Empowering.
It is. And the book also suggests practicing detachment.
I'm not sure I get that one.
It's about creating space between us and our emotions.
Not reacting immediately.
Observing them without getting swept away.
Interesting.
Like feeling angry, but not letting it control you.
Choosing how we respond.
You got it. And along with detachment, there's reframing.
Okay, another one I need explained.
It's about choosing to see the good, even in tough situations.
Finding the silver lining.
Yes. Asking, what can I learn from this?
Instead of focusing on what went wrong.
Shifting to solutions, even when it's hard.
So we've talked about victim language, detachment, reframing, anything else.
The book also talks about accepting responsibility for our lives.
That's a tough one for a lot of people.
It's easier to blame others, right?
It is, but it's not empowering.
Exactly. When we take responsibility, we focus on what we can control.
It's not denying the challenges, but owning our response.
Right. And it can be as simple as changing our words.
How so?
Instead of I have to, say I choose to.
Interesting.
Shifting from feeling trapped to feeling empowered.
Okay, so we've done the inner work, the foundation. Now what about action?
That's where getting on with it comes in.
The book gets down to business.
Big time. And it all goes back to those 5 elements. Values, vision, mission, purpose, goals.
Creating our roadmap, right.
You got it.
Yeah.
And those values are the starting point.
What we believe in, what guides us.
Exactly. Then, that big, bold vision for the future. Dream big. 5 years from now, perfect life. Paint me a picture.
I love that exercise.
It helps to make it real. And after the vision, there's the mission.
Right, our unique contribution.
What's your legacy? What gets you out of bed each day?
The book suggests writing your own obituary.
It sounds morbid, but it's effective.
Forces you to think about what really matters.
Okay, so we have values, vision, mission. What about purpose?
Isn't that the same thing?
Not quite. Purpose is the deeper WHY, the driving force behind your actions.
What gives us fulfillment?
Right. It might evolve over time, but it's that core motivation.
And then we get to the goals, the steps to make it all happen.
Exactly. And the book has a 6-step process for setting goals that stick.
6 steps. All right, let's hear them.
First, there's desire, that burning, yearning for something more.
It has to be real, not just what you should want.
Totally. Then belief. You got to believe you can do it.
Even if it feels impossible.
Especially then. And then identifying those obstacles.
Knowing what you might face.
So you can prepare. Then knowledge. What do you need to learn?
You might not have all the answers now, but you can find them.
Exactly. And don't forget, get some help. Mentors, coaches, your support system.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Right. And finally, the plan. Breaking it down into manageable steps.
Writing it all down, making it real.
The book stresses that a lot. It's about taking action.
This is also practical.
Right. But we also need to be prepared for the bumps in the road.
Change is a constant.
Exactly. The book talks about becoming a master of change.
It even mentions the challenge and response theory, that life is a series of challenges.
And how we respond to those challenges determines our success.
This is where the achiever mindset is so crucial, right?
Absolutely. People who embrace change, they see it as an opportunity.
Instead of something to fear.
Exactly. They understand setbacks are part of the process.
But it's not easy to always stay positive.
You're right. The book offers some strategies for building resilience.
I'm all ears.
One technique is thinking for a change.
What's that about?
Becoming aware of your thoughts, challenging those negative beliefs.
So like catching yourself thinking, I can't do this.
And asking, is that really true?
Or just my fear talking.
Exactly. Choose more empowering thoughts instead.
And the book also talks about continuous learning.
Right. Always be learning. The world is constantly evolving.
You have to keep up.
And remember that Harvard study from 1952.
The one with the economist predicting all the change?
Yep. More change, more competition, but also more opportunities.
They were so ahead of their time.
It highlights the importance of a growth mindset.
Always be willing to learn and adapt.
Okay, so continuous learning. The book also mentions restructuring our lives.
Restructuring? What's that all about?
It's about making sure your actions are aligned with your goals.
The 80-20 rule again.
Exactly. Focus on what truly matters. Eliminate the rest.
Decluttering for a better life.
You got it. Get rid of habits, routines, even relationships that aren't serving you.
That can be hard, but it's about creating a life that's truly yours.
Aligned with your values.
And the book even talks about stepping outside your comfort zone.
Because that's where the real growth happens.
When we challenge ourselves,
we build resilience and discover what we're truly capable of.
So we've talked about fears, change, goals, restructuring our lives. What else?
Don't forget relationships. They're a crucial part of this whole journey.
We can't do it alone.
Exactly. And the book offers some great advice on building strong connections.
All right, tell me more.
It starts with understanding the differences in how men and women communicate.
Because let's face it, sometimes it feels like we're from different planets.
The book talks about research on brain activity during conversations.
Oh, really? What did they find?
Women use more areas of their brains when communicating.
Interesting. So their inner lives are more complex.
It's not about one being better than the other, just different.
We need to respect those differences.
Absolutely. And the key is to adapt our communication styles.
So women being more direct, men practicing active listening.
Exactly. Creating a space where everyone feels heard and understood.
And it's not just romantic relationships either, right?
Friendships, professional networks, they're all important.
We need a diverse group of people to support us on our journey.
And before we wrap up this section on relationships, there's one more thing I want to mention.
Okay, what's that?
Giving back to others. The book really emphasizes the importance of this.
I love that. It always makes me feel good to help others.
And it's not just a feel-good thing. Research shows it actually boosts our happiness.
A win-win.
Exactly. When we focus on contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
It gives our lives more meaning and purpose.
Exactly. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Fears, change, goals, relationships.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It really is. And at the heart of it all is the belief in ourselves. That's what allows us to achieve anything worthwhile.
Believe it to achieve it.
That's the message. We have the power to create the lives we want.
But we have to believe it's possible first.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to explore further in this next section on self-belief.
Okay, let's dive in. So this idea of self-belief, it's pretty fundamental.
It really is. The book really drives that point home.
Because without it, the rest kind of falls apart, doesn't it?
It does. You could have all the goals, all the plans.
But if you don't believe you can actually achieve them...
It's all for nothing. It's like trying to build a house without a foundation.
Exactly. So this final part of our deep dive...
Let's really unpack this idea of self-belief.
All right, so believe it to achieve it, right?
The title says it all. But how do we actually do that?
Especially if we've struggled in the past, had setbacks.
Those doubts can creep in, for sure. But the book has some great advice.
Okay, lay it on me.
It starts with understanding the power of our thoughts.
Right. We talked about thinking for a change earlier.
Exactly. Our thoughts can either empower us or hold us back.
So it's not about ignoring negative thoughts, but about recognizing them.
And challenging them. Are they really true? Or just old stories we're telling ourselves?
Because sometimes we're our own worst enemy, aren't we?
We can be. But the good news is we have the power to change those thought patterns.
So how do we do that? The book mentions affirmations.
Yes, affirmations are powerful.
Yeah.
Repeating positive statements to ourselves.
Even if we don't believe them at first.
Especially then. It's about reprogramming our subconscious mind.
Like planting seeds and nurturing them.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And the book also talks about our environment.
Right, the people we surround ourselves with.
They have a huge impact on our beliefs. Surround yourself with positive, supportive people.
People who believe in you even when you doubt yourself.
Exactly. And just as importantly, distance yourself from those who drain your energy.
The negative Nancys, the energy vampires.
Get rid of them. And the book also talks about setbacks.
Because let's be real, they're gonna happen.
They are. It's part of the process. The key is to see them as opportunities.
Not as failures.
Right. Learn from them, grow from them, keep moving forward.
It's about building resilience, that grit factor.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate your successes along the way.
Yes. Give ourselves a pat on the back.
Acknowledge the wins, no matter how small. It reinforces that belief in ourselves.
And the book also talks about self-care, right?
So important.
Yeah.
We can't pour from an empty cup.
Gotta recharge those batteries.
Find activities that bring you joy, replenish your energy.
So it's all connected, isn't it? Belief, action, self-care.
It's all part of the journey. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
No overnight successes here.
It's about consistency, persistence, and most importantly, believing in yourself.
Believe it to achieve it.
That's the message. You have the power to create the life you want.
But you have to believe it first.
And that's what I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive.
I think that's a powerful message. So as we wrap up our exploration of believe it to achieve it,
any final thoughts?
Just that I'm feeling incredibly inspired. This book has really reminded me.
Of what?
Of the power we all have within us to create change, to achieve our dreams.
It all starts with belief.
And a little bit of action, of course.
Can't forget that part. So if you're ready to unlock your potential,
we highly recommend checking out Believe It to Achieve It.
It's a roadmap to a more fulfilling life.
And remember, believe in yourself. You got this.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing.
See you on our next deep dive.